What's up, everybody? This is Kieran Reese, otherwise known as the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, the O.C.G, and I am beyond excited to announce that they fixed Legend of Dragoon, and the PS5 version of it, and by extension PS4, no longer sucks so badly. But before we get into that, and also why you should play this amazing game, if you would like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It costs you nothing, takes a minute of your time, and it helps me survive. That being said, let's hop into this. Legend of Dragoon, or The Legend of Dragoon if you prefer, is an epic role-playing game released for the PS1 back in 2000. It was one of Sony's last big first-party efforts for the system, and it was Sony's attempt to cash in on the RPG and JRPG especially market. See, Final Fantasy VII in '97 blew up the world. Everybody knows it's massive success, and it actually created almost what I would call like a boom of JRPGs, because everybody wanted to follow up on the success of Final Fantasy VII. It's like, you know, how everybody wanted to be the next Halo, everybody wanted to be the next GTA 5, everybody wanted to be the next, you know, Call of Duty. There was a time when everybody wanted to make their own Final Fantasy VII killer. And Sony may have produced the Final Fantasy games, but they didn't actually develop them. They published them, basically. And this was them saying, hey, what if we made our entire own JRPG? And honestly, it was a huge success. The Legend of Dragoon is an amazingly awesome game, and an excellent RPG that not only managed to stand toe-to-toe with the market holders of the time, Final Fantasy, but actually in many ways managed to succeed them. And I'm a really, really big fan of the game, and I think that it has held up very well, even to this day, due to a phenomenal art direction that has stood the test of time, and a crazy unique battle system we're going to get into. And yet, despite really good sales, phenomenal even, and great reviews, Sony just decided to pretend that The Legend of Dragoon existed after this game released. And not only have they never even made a sequel, but they've hardly even re-released it or made it available to play. They made it available to play way back on PS3, but only in a select region, and then just forgot it existed for like 10, 12 years. Which is so weird because they fully own the rights. There's lots of PS1 classics that Sony can't get to because they don't own the rights to them, you know? They help publish them, but they don't own the rights, but they produced, developed, own the IP to Legend of Dragoon. They could re-release it any time. They just didn't want to. It's kind of insane. But anyway, I was extremely excited when they just surprise dropped out of nowhere that Legend of Dragoon would be launching on February 21st for PS4 and PS5 as part of the Classics program. And I was even more excited by the fact that you could purchase it separately. See, Sony, in a super dickish move, has taken a lot of the most wanted games that have come to the service and made it so you can only ever play them by subscribing, and you can never buy them separately, which is just dumb. Even Microsoft with Game Pass lets you buy them individually. I was even more surprised to find out that Legend of Dragoon on PS4 and PS5 actually has trophies. The vast majority of the games that PlayStation has brought to the service do not have trophies whatsoever, even Sony ones. And on top of that, I was even more surprised that it had a Platinum trophy. See, most of the PS Classic list was $15. Some of them were cheaper, like $10. And Sony had this really dickish thing they did, where if it was a cheaper game, like Primal, that was $10, well, you got trophies, but you didn't get a Platinum, which is just so dickish. And on top of that, we get all of these other goodies as part of the emulation, like upscaling for the polygonal elements, display options to tweak it to your display. You can do it native resolution or stretch it to fit your screen. You can now rewind and fast forward parts of the game if you make a mistake, and can even create save states. As a lot of these older games weren't very forgiving with save placements. So we get a classic game that didn't get nearly enough appreciation at a cheap price of $10, and we get it with all of these extra goodies like trophies and higher res and all that stuff. So it should have been a slam dunk, right? Wrong, because Sony fucked it up and basically made it unplayable. See, Legend of Dragoon has this awesome system where you can morph into Dragoon mode in the middle of a battle. This gives you an awesome transformation scene and then gives you access to super duper powerful attacks. But you can't use it all the time. It's basically like a powered up mode that's really, really cool. It's actually why it's called Legend of Dragoon. It's literally the name of the game, and you get access to it a couple of hours in. And, I mean, you just look at it. You get this badass armor and these beautiful wings. It's really cool. The problem is that on the PS4 and the PS5 version of the game, anytime you went into Dragoon mode, the game had a very strong chance of soft locking. Like a very high. Meaning, you roll the dice every time you did it. But furthermore, whenever you used any of the spells for the Dragoons, there was an even higher chance of it freezing. And if you used Rose's Astral Drain spell, you were 100% guaranteed to soft lock the game. You would do the attack as normal. You would watch it play out. Everything would seem okay. And then after it was over, when she goes to the resting position, it would stay permanently locked in that position and never return to the battle. You'd hear the music, you'd see the animations, but you couldn't do it. So basically, you were forced to roll the dice and hope your game didn't freeze every time you used a Dragoon form, and you were basically just had to avoid using Dragoon magic at all, which a lot of the game is designed around that. So you're putting the game in super duper hard mode. And honestly, that's just a major hurdle. There was a ton of lesser, but still super annoying problems besides that. Like, after you do a regular attack, you normally hear him cry out the name of the attack. Half the time it would be cut off. So it'd be Volga, or whatever. And breaking the pacing of the game. And ruining one of the game's hallmark features that people know it for. He's shouting, "Spinning cane!" And sadly, I couldn't get any footage of it, but I did see it. There was all kinds of issues where you would see like pixelization and green blurs on the screen. It was very ugly and very distracting. Now this caused Sony to get a massive amount of heat for doing this. It quickly went trending because there was a lot of press over it coming to the service anyway, because a lot of people love this game. It's a cult classic. And it being so broken was noteworthy, because you get it only like 2-3 hours into the game and it basically stops you from progressing, meaning Sony really didn't even test it. Now I thought it was going to take a couple of weeks to fix, at least with how slow Sony can be sometimes. So imagine my surprise when I woke up today to it downloading an 800 megabyte patch, which for a game of this size is actually pretty big. So did it fix the problem? Yes, absolutely. 100,000%. I repeatedly tried transforming and suffered no crashes or ill effects whatsoever, allowing me to enjoy this gorgeous sequence uninterrupted. Then I used a spell, which had a much higher chance of freezing, even higher chance of freezing, and once again, it perfectly worked without a single issue. You know, the way it should have when it launched. Finally, I reused Astral Drain to see if it would crash, and lo and behold, the spell that was guaranteed, literally guaranteed to crash your game or soft lock it before, now works 100% fine, like it should. And that was the one that almost always did. On top of which, other issues have been fixed, such as rewinding causing the game to spaz the hell out. Doesn't do that anymore. So, you know, the function that was a bonus actually works the way it should. And I couldn't even see any green flickers after playing the game for several hours, so that annoying visual glitch has been fixed. So now that we have the major questions out of the way, like, does it work now? And indeed it does. I would like to take the remaining portion of this video, a few minutes, to tell you why you really, really should give this game a chance now that it's fixed. Legend of Dragoon has an amazing world with a wonderful aesthetic. This is a massively ambitious game spanning 4 discs. Now it's all in one file, but it spanned 4 discs. And each disc is set up as a chapter with its own country that is completely different and varied. As such, this game has a shit ton of content. This game has a ton of different areas, from deserts to ghost towns, to caves with swirling pools of mists, to tropical islands, to snowy hinterland forests that I can't even fully show you because I haven't gotten that chance to play that far. I kind of stopped when I found out the game was borked. But it has a gorgeous world that has truly stood the test of time. Not an easy feat for a game that is now 23 years old. On top of that, the game has a really, really good cast of characters. Yes, there's some bad grammar in English due to the fact that localizations were still like this, were still relatively new. And yes, some of it is corny, but it has a very well thought out, awesome cast of characters. And in an RPG, that is very important. And the game's battle system, even to this day, 23 years later, is wholly unique. It takes the traditional turn-based system of the time, well, RPGs of the time, and adds a serious real-time component. And honestly, something that's reminiscent of a fighting game, because not only are each of the moves named and the characters explain them, like I said, like Volcano and Spinning Cane, but you have to time and execute a series of commands to nail the move, and enemies can counter you at any time, and you have to press another button to stop them from countering you. Meaning there's a very almost kind of fighting game-esque thing, and it's unlike any other battle system in any other game I've ever played. And there's many of these commands that are different, and they get progressively more difficult, but do way more damage to compensate. And when you combine that with the Dragoon form that is totally different, and each of the main characters has one, and thrilling boss battles, and the battles in this game kick ass. And honestly are really great. And at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? The game at most is only $10. And if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can actually just try it for free through there. Legend of Dragoon is an amazingly awesome game that I genuinely love, and I think deserves way more love. I absolutely love it. And I want as many people as humanly possible to try this game and give it a chance. So maybe, just maybe, hope beyond hopes, one day we'll get a sequel. It's not likely, but worst case scenario, I can just help spread this game to more people. But that being said, I'm done ranting about this game that I love dearly. And I'm here to remind you, once again, if you wouldn't mind, like, comment, and subscribe, because it costs you nothing, it makes my day, and it helps me keep my head beautifully shaved so I look like an evil Lex Luthor. O.C.G. out.